Yeah, we're clear. Yeah. At this time, I'll call the April 28th, 2025 meeting of the Newcastle Planning and Zoning Commission to order. First item of business will be the roll call.
Well, I think you need to swear Nikki in first.
Well, if he's going to answer here, yes, we do. Nick, first item of business will be, we'll swear you in as a new member. If you would, I'll just let you read it, the oath of office and the loyalty oath. You'll read those.
I, Nick Whitty, do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma. I discharge the duties of my office with fidelity, that I have not paid or contributed either directly or indirectly any money or other valuable thing to procure my nomination or election or appointment, except for necessary and proper expenses expressly authorized by law, that I have not knowingly violated any election law of the state or procured it to be done by others in my behalf, that I will not knowingly receive directly or indirectly any money or valuable thing for the performance or non-performance of any act or duty pertaining to my office, other than the compensation allowed by law. And I further swear or affirm that I will not receive, use, or travel upon any free pass or any free transportation during my term of office. Loyalty oath. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America and the Constitution and the laws of the United States of Oklahoma, and I will faithfully discharge, according to the best of my ability, the duties of my office or employment during such time as I am Planning Commissioner of the Newcastle Planning and Zoning Commission for the City of Newcastle, Oklahoma.
Thank you. We'll sign that. Sign you this one, and we'll sign two of them. We'll have, we'll have two of those.
And I'll notarize it for you.
Welcome aboard.
Thanks.
Next item of business will be roll call.
Gordon Harness.
Present.
Carl Evans is absent. Will Wright.
Here.
Keith Baghorn.
Here.
And Nick Witt.
Present.
Okay, we do have a quorum and we'll proceed with business. Item number one is consider approval of the agenda. Make a motion.
Second.
Have a motion and second to approve the agenda. All in favor signify with that raised hand. Be approved unanimously. Consider approval of the minutes of March 31st, 2025.
I haven't seen anything.
I didn't either.
Haven't seen anything. Make a motion to approve.
Second. I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. All in favor signify with that raised hand. Be unanimously approved. Item 4 is report of City Council's decisions on the Planning Commission recommendations at the last meeting.
Yes, on the April 14th, 2025 City Council meeting, the planning items are as follows. Rezoning from Ag to E1 for an undersized lot located at 2504 Highway 130. City Council approved that. And then it was also a rezoning from IR to IM1, and a future land use amendment from mixed use residential to general commercial for Triton Capital Investments located at 1725 Northeast 16th Street for a boat and RV storage. Council approved. And the next three items are pertaining to one new oil and gas pad site located a 0.12 mile east of North Rockwell on Northwest 16th Street for the swale pad site with 3 new boreholes was approved by council as well. So all 3 of those UPOR items were approved. And that is all of the planning commission items for city council.
just, so just adding to that, there's discussion, they're gonna do blanket sound walls, full perimeter, 24 foot. The entry road, or the lease road, will be parking for the workers, and they won't park on Jordan Drive, and they had they had the release when they were here before us, as far as the distance to the surrounding residential property was too close. So, we know about that, but the off-street parking, I think that we asked about, that was a concern of the citizens, so, yeah, it's good. Okay, item 5 is continuance request. Yes, there is.
Number 11 will be continued.
Number 11 will be continued to the next regularly scheduled meeting in May. You want to motion that? I'll make a motion to continue.
The item number or do it?
Well, got it now. Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the continuance request of item 11 to our next regularly scheduled meeting in May.
Yeah. I'll second.
All in favor, signify by the raised hand. Be unanimously approved. Item number 6 is citizens' comments. This is the opportunity for citizens to be heard on matters not on our docket. If anyone wants to be heard on matters not on their docket. Seeing none, we'll proceed. Item 7 is lot split deed approvals. No one? Okay. We'll proceed to item 8. Item 8 is discussion possible action on an amendment to the final plat of Castle Court site development plan for cross-access and grading location at the southeast corner of Northeast 19th Place and North Main Street.
Janae Greenlee with the Newcastle Planning Department reporting on this item. So the Castle Court final plat and site development plan had been approved by City Council. They had begun construction on the site. There was quite a bit of different elevation change on the site from the north to the south, and we had discussions with their engineer and as well as the developer, and they came to us and wanted to do a change order regarding the cross access between lots 2 and 3. So they want to eliminate the cross access in the front, which that site development plan was presented to Planning Commission and City Council as full cross access across the front. Because of the major elevation change in the grading, they are asking to eliminate the cross access to the front, which will then change their grading plans and then not have the cross access in the front, but it will still have it in the rear, but it will no longer be in front. This will allow them to kind of modify their grading plan as not to change or take out so much dirt, and so it will eliminate that cross access in the front, like I stated, and they'll just minimally change the stormwater. Very minimally. It's not changing the detention pond. I will note that the other change in it is the east access along the rear of the property. So it's your screen. You're looking at the bottom of the screen. That is drive that will remain cross access through the 4 lots at the south end near the detention pond to the left of your screen is not any longer a hammerhead. They've changed the dumpster location. They're not proposing the hammerhead at the end. Those are the 2 main changes that needed to come forward after I reviewed City Council minutes and Planning Commission minutes and what was submitted with the site development plan. We decided it best to come back forward for Planning Commission for recommendation and then to City Council for approval. The applicant and his architect are here for any technical questions that you would have this evening regarding this.
On the cross-access, our code requires cross-access on commercial along, maybe through there, 37 and 62, doesn't it? So this will take a variation from our code section, won't it?
I am not believing that that is in the subdivision regulations. I did not see that. We highly recommend it. I don't believe it is in ordinance, but I will review and take a look right now. You think that it is in subdivision regulations or in?
I thought it was on our overlay that we did on 37 and 62 that just
And
goes
this
down
is,
to 16.
and this is in the overlay district. I'll take a quick look. But yes, it would then require a variance for that if it was part of the ordinance, but I'm not familiar with that language in,
I didn't go look at it, and I should have. I was going to ask him.
see if I knew it. That doesn't.
Yeah, no, just being lazy on my part. I could have looked it up too.
When would that have been added? Because it's not done that way on Highway 37 totally. Between Arby's and Sonic or whatever, there's no.
Those were before we did it.
So you're saying there was a change after that?
Yeah.
So there's not, in the segment A, it has more to do with the facade requirements
Right.
and the landscaping. I don't see anything that requires cross access. Screening of utilities,
I know we've been forced to that
outside
on 37.
storage. We encourage it for traffic control, and we encourage, we.
It's really a safety issue.
It is.
Highway 37.
We don't want, no, the two existing curb cuts onto 62 and on 19, nothing is changing on the location of the existing curb cuts. Those are already approved by ODOT, because it's the state highway, so they've already gotten approval for that. And nothing is changing.
The north one is narrower than the south one.
Yes, the south one is wider.
And I thought we discussed that as making both of them 3 lanes. I know we
They
discussed.
wanted to,
Yeah.
and I think they told us they didn't want it. And the council did approve it that way, but
I don't feel
But
fine
if
with
we're
that.
gonna take out the double access, I think that affects the north one being narrow.
I do too. I don't feel quite as bad the fact that there is access across it in the back, but I think that's more of a, semi trucks parked back there, and it's not
It's a
really.
service road, it's
Right,
not.
it's not really
Well, there's
primary access.
the depiction in the
It's meant
lighting
to
shows
service,
there's no access to the front on the south or the south.
But if you come here, you
Second
can't
lot.
get back in, can you get back in the parking lot?
Yeah, there
Yes,
is.
you can.
You can actually,
You mentioned Hammerhead, I don't know what that means.
at the end of that,
At the end.
at the end,
Finger now?
right there, yeah.
The turnaround.
Is it a cul-de-sac or like a big?
Yeah.
Well, it was just a hammerhead, so
hammerhead,
that you
so
could pull a
it's-
fire truck in there
And
and
Yeah.
then back
Turn
up
it
to a
around.
3-point turn.
Right.
But if we're not gonna have that, how are they gonna turn the fire truck?
If you don't mind.
Yeah,
so,
state your name and address, please.
Bill Solomons, Phase 1 Design, 600 Northwest 23rd Street, Suite 200, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Access coming from north to south down the east cross-access road. We've actually simplified the maneuverability through there based off of that current layout. That road, that drive will actually pass in front of the far south building and have direct access to the south drive.
Here you're talking about?
So you come down here, and your drive is right here in front of the building. This is your building. So this is all Here's parking, here's your driveway, bring that through the.
So essentially, you can get to every lot through the rear drive,
Yes, absolutely.
just not through the front.
Not through, the only ones that you cannot cross access to is between 2 and 3, is what we're proposing. But 1 and 2, there's cross access, and 3 and 4, there's cross access, and then there's cross access to all of them on the east side.
Then on 3, from the east side, it doesn't look like there's access to the front from the east drive.
There is. It's hard to see on this grading plan.
We can go on to the next slide, Lily. Sure.
It's a little bit clearer for you to start seeing the access path. So we've got complete access path all the way through, and then cross access here to here.
What's the checked area there on 3 that you're showing as the driveway?
I'm sorry.
It's just a lot.
It's just a lot.
It's a lot line.
This is just our lot line.
No, the checked area. They're the diagonal.
Oh, this?
Yeah.
This is, I'm not sure what this user's looking at having there. It's painted stripes on the pavement, what it is. What that is probably no parking. Since that is driving.
Drive-through? You couldn't really drive through there?
Yeah.
And how wide is that?
I believe it's 24 to 26 feet on that drive.
I can't tell on this stuff. How wide is that access through there from the back to the front?
Back in front.
Yes.
It's 24 to 26 foot.
That's not counting the stripe part?
That's counting the stripe part. I'd have to get in the actual file to tell you.
Well, then how wide's your east drive?
The east drive is the max allowed by the city of Newcastle, which I believe is 36 feet, curb to curb.
Well, that's not a max. You can be wider.
That's what we were told. That was max, that's what's in the ordinance.
For parking and loading facilities.
It'd be minimum, not a max.
24 would be minimum in and out.
Yeah, and all of these, when each lot comes in to develop, the main thing that we're looking at here is the cross access between lots 2 and 3, eliminating that because the north end is at a higher elevation than the south end. So each one of these lots, when they come in for a building permit, are going to have to meet all of our regulations. So they'll be individually reviewed as they come in for building permits.
Right.
But just to give you that added note there, that this is not like final and that the buildings are going to be exactly positioned like that. You know, that gas station, it's CC2, so it's going to go by all of the development regulations under the CC2 district guidelines. The setbacks, the rear setbacks, the drive aisles, the landscaping, everything will be reviewed again when they come in for the building permit. The main thing here is the change in the cross access between 2 and 3, and then just a little bit of the redesign on the rear, the service drive in the back.
So those sidewalks that's drawn in there now, this here instead?
That's actually drainage plumes to maintain the current design drainage way to the detention pond for storm.
So you're, north is higher or south?
North is higher. There's from north to south, if my memory serves me correct,
Coming
there's
down
total
here?
20 foot of fall across the side.
So all of this is going to run across the whole parking lot? It's going to head out to the ditch or what?
No, it's all being maintained on site. Some of it is actually coming down what we're calling the service drive on the east side, and the rest is coming down the west frontage, but it's not passing across. It's all being collected into the inlets that you see around the south drive here. Yep, we got 2 inlets there.
Okay, so this here?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then everything on the east side is surface drained into the detention pond.
Just one question on lot 4, since we did away with the, basically turnaround. So are we just expecting a delivery truck to pull in there and back up?
Yeah, that was the biggest part of it.
Is that, how are we expecting that truck's gonna pull up and then always back up to get out?
So that's where their dumpster location is stationed.
Okay,
And we're still under NDAs on who,
In terms of,
as far as potential buyers.
no, it is, Christian Brothers is looking at it.
Okay. So the lot 4 is Christian Brothers Automotive. So the back of their building will be facing the detention pond, and all their service space will be facing the drive.
facing north.
Yes. So as far as their deliveries, I mean, I'm not sure, what deliveries they do have, since I'm not involved in that design of that facility. But most of the time, there's, if it is the size of the truck, it's a box truck.
I would only be concerned 10 years down the road.
Right.
The business sells or they move to a bigger location, whatever, and
Right.
we get a, food place to go to.
And then again, Chief, this is not set in stone. If the city says that they want a turnaround or whatever it is, when they submit their plans, we can certainly ask
That'd be
them.
my only concern with that lot 4, not being able to turn around, and that being that access. We've already got issues over there on that other road next to Boomerang. That would be my only concern with that.
Yeah, that was a whole bunch of remedies worked out to try to get off of this road.
Yeah.
We've got Cisco that parks right here.
Right.
All the time, these people can't see to get out, and you can't turn in.
The fire trucks are not parking there.
Right, they're not parking.
The fire trucks are not
Not parked there in a while. Let's give them credit.
I will say that.
They deserve credit for that. You're right.
I will say that I believe that we need a little bit more, not that finger, but I think there should be a turnaround. And I discussed this with Sam, developer, and Will on that, with having to, if you're pulling in the backup into the backup and to go out of that lot, you really need a place to turn around at the end of that. I think that needs to be modified.
Well, even when there's a full pull through.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So either that or we need to show, because you're saying that,
This isn't drive, right?
yeah,
That's
this
building.
is building here. So you're saying they can pull in and they can come through the parking lot?
Yes, ma'am. And if I remember correctly in conversations with that potential buyer, they're just trying to figure out what the striping requirements are going to be to identify that as quote unquote fire lane.
Maybe then we need to change the dumpster location onto that east side of that service drive and put it at an angle
Okay.
here. Because the fire truck can get here.
Yes.
They can get up here. They're more than likely going to get here and pull us up here where the hydrants are. I'm not worried about fire trucks, but what I would do is I'd make a dumpster location here. You can come in, get it, and then go out.
I apologize. I can't see. What's the turning radius on that west by that entrance there? Can you, where that going through that parking lot there? Right there, like if you're going through, up through there, what's up top there? What's the turning radius? Can they turn and?
So that minimum's probably 30 to 40 foot.
Okay, so it's that large, okay.
Yes, it's large.
Okay.
This typically, I mean, there's what you can see a little bit tighter radiuses on the two north lots. Those are 15 to 20. On lot right here, that radius is probably 15 to 20. That radius is values.
30, 40 feet.
Yeah.
It definitely works for the current. If the building ever sells, then I think that'd be my only issue with that, not having that turnaround.
So to answer your question on the aisle requirements, aisles providing access to off-street parking, but not immediately adjacent or providing direct access to off-street parking shall be at least 22 feet in width. So it's not a maximum. 22 feet in width is designed for two-way traffic, and 12 feet in width designed for one-way traffic.
And we're exceeding all this.
And that drive aisle in the rear is how big?
It's 24 foot.
24, yeah. So you can have two-way traffic there.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else needs to be at least 22 feet.
And there's no
per-
parking
No parking.
I know
Yeah,
that people will park.
They will not be able, they should have loading and access, only there. There shouldn't be parking, there's not parking allowed in the drive aisle.
You mentioned widening this north entrance, right?
Well, that's what we wanted earlier, and, I mean, part of the reason for not getting it was we've got a wide one down here, and okay, well, if they can pull in there and make the corner and go across, it cuts down, well, it gives you one outlet that's got a turn lane in it.
Right.
And
We're
now the
giving that-
north one doesn't have a turn.
We're giving that up. We cut that cross access off. I know they can go in the back, but people know that's there.
Well, and they get to the corner, they still haven't got a turn lane.
Right.
And we're talking about businesses here, not, you know.
And it's only going to get more congested along Main Street. I mean, now's the time to do it. I mean, I don't like this. Like I said, the only concession I have is that there actually is a drive path accessible, like at KFC and Arby's up there is none.
Right.
You have to get out on Main Street in the turn lane to go around the Sonic. You know, that's a safety problem, and we're giving up some of that here. The fact that you can get across there in the back helps, but I think if we're going to give something, they can give something, and I think that widening that lane is part of it.
I haven't got any objection to that. I think I still would like to see provision for, well, sensible turnaround, but if you mandate that the drive into lot 4 remain a fire lane and is built to handle the weight, then okay, we don't need the hammerhead. But it kind of worries me. A semi comes down to another lot 3 and wants to turn around. Are they going to come down and turn into lot 4, or are they going to try to make it along the edge of lot 3?
They're going to do whatever they come to and decide they're going to do, because it's boomerang, and they just do whatever they have to.
Yeah.
Because of constraints of parking in there, they just make it happen. And it's not easy. They block 5, 6 cars that are parked there to unload all the time.
Yeah.
Because there's no other place to do it. So it's not necessarily their fault.
And the issue gets to be, if our procedure has been to provide an obvious hammerhead turnaround or cul-de-sac turnaround for the truck traffic.
Yeah.
And,
Well, if they can stay on that lane, that's a whole lot safer for everybody.
well, yeah.
I mean, and they don't have to cross the parking lot. That's better
Well,
for
and
everybody.
if you've got a business there that's got bays open and your neighbor's delivery trucks pulling in there wanting to move vehicles.
You've got 2 paths of travel there.
Well,
You've got 2 paths of travel. You've got a path of travel on lot 4, then you've got a path of travel between lots 4 and 3.
right.
And I know that all the potential buyers have actually ran truck path deliveries through the entire site. That's why we've made.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, if that had been done.
Yes. So it's been studied for lot 4 for their typical traffic. For lot 3, which is even larger traffic, since it's a convenience store with a gas station. So they've got to be able to get their truck traffic through this site completely, and also around their fuel line completely. That's been studied, and now this user, the reason we increased this to a 50-foot radius was for this user, because their loadings need to be here.
Can I ask, is there room to put the hammerhead, keep the hammerhead at the end? Because that, I will say, during council, when I was presenting, that was one thing, if we can assure that there is a safe turnaround at that dead end, and we could keep that, that would probably be beneficial.
That's not a good one.
No, I get what you're saying. I mean, that service road does not continue around. It stops right there. Yes, traffic can get through and go through the parking lot at Christian Brothers. I'm just asking if there's room to accommodate that at the end of that.
It would require some interesting items down at that south corner to facilitate that, i.e. retaining walls, et cetera, in order to have that, because that paving's coming down at an angle, that grade at that southeast corner is substantially higher than what we would have.
Okay.
So we're talking probably 6 to 8 foot retaining wall.
Good question. I mean, I know that traffic can get through and everything. It was just a question to see if that would be something that would be, like I showed, I mean, we can relocate dumpsters so there's not a significant length that a truck would have to back up.
I can see the dumpster rotating around off of from where it's at. Kind of in this areas where they have kind of an angled in, and then they can back straight up and then continue on, and we, however they need to modify theirs. I see theirs actually coming back to here, so that way that trash, the sanitation is hitting back here, right? And then they're backing up and out on 19 and they're out, and then picking up the rest of them.
You just want to eliminate as much backup in any traffic as possible.
Right.
Let me just ask this, that cross access, would that be part of their private property? So,
as far as,
so if they decided, I'm tired of everybody driving through here, and block it off.
they can. It's dedicated to the entire development.
It's what?
Dedicated easement.
Okay.
Yes. There's a flat requirement, period. Cannot deviate.
Will it be in the covenants as well?
I can just see that being a nuisance right away, because everybody's gonna pull through there.
I mean, if you look at it on the positive side, they're getting more exposure and potentially make more money.
Yeah, I think they need parking spaces, they're big issue.
Yeah, well, all along you can kind of see the,
Right.
in both cases, they've got parking here and also here.
That's true.
You said it's 20 foot of fall. Was that from north to south or east to west?
North to south. And east to west, I don't recall off the top of my head, but there is, it's not as significant, but there is a east to west fall. The site to the east of us is, depending on where you're standing, is anywhere from 3 feet to 0 to about 12 feet higher.
And let me ask you and I talked about this, so there won't be a retaining wall in between 2 and 3.
No.
There's a retaining wall in the back, which is fine, that's part of the site development.
Correct.
But between lot 2 and 3, it's just is going to be a
3 to 1 slope.
3 to 1 slope. Okay.
Because we're trying to make up approximately 4 to 5 foot of grade elevation change and a very short distance. 3 to 1 is still mowable, can still have landscaping. That's as steep as I want to go.
Right.
That's right here.
Yes, on that line.
It's just a grassy knoll with sort of
Basically,
curve on each side.
yes.
You can't maintain that same slope on the east road as you can the west side.
So, I'm sorry,
You're maintaining a road on the east side. You can't do that on the west side also. It's a shorter distance, I see.
yeah, it would, I mean, that 5 foot of fall in, roughly, it's challenging for parking and everything else. On that line for lot 2. Lot 3, they want everything splattered. No, that's the challenge.
On your grade sheet, and I can't really read it, but I'm guessing these are 5 foot grade lines.
They should be 1 foot grid lines.
1 foot?
So every line should be to a foot of fall or rise.
Well, it looks like there's a drainage way along the east side of the back access road there from where it takes its break.
I'm sorry, so
On the access road, on the back access road there, looks like there's a drainage going to the detention.
Yes, sir.
And that's got, I think, 7 foot of fall. Either 7 or 8.
That's 7 to 8 foot, something like that. Yes, sir.
And I guess that'd be using this other 24-foot distance as a reference. Over 20 foot, is that a good guess?
That's a pretty good guess, yes.
So we just got 2-to-1 slope there. Will that just be?
Well, in that area, everybody's trying to keep that at about 3-to-1 as well. So what those distances are between those contours, I'm not 100% sure, but it is about as tight as we want to get from the slope standpoint, and be able to maintain it as well as maintain, vegetation, sod, etc. on it.
It kind of looks like with all the dirt moving you're doing, there isn't much to prevent you from bringing that drainage over a little farther east and getting that turnaround in that, and not dependent on being able to drive through one of the businesses.
It would increase the slope, but if we did that, if we pulled that further, that east range to the north, it would increase our slope substantially.
Well, yeah.
There's just additional concrete that's there as part of basically like the sidewalk on the east side of their dumpster enclosure or pressure stuff.
The access that they've actually added there, it actually appears better to me than it had before. Besides the turnaround, which I understand the concern that. no option drive there.
Well, we didn't have building layouts before.
Yeah, well,
We didn't know what was.
And this could still adjust possibilities. I mean, these aren't, I mean, people have studied this, it's not 100% final until they're submitted.
Are we allowed to ask what the other two businesses are?
So the lot 2 is actually site built prep for Sherwin-Williams.
Sherwood-Williams, okay.
And then lot 1 is now vacant. We no longer have a potential buyer for lot 1 at this time.
What size is that lot? That's a small lot for them. See, it designated on here.
I don't recall off the top of my head. It's been I guess.
3/4, a little shy of 3/4.
Okay. I mean, it was definitely geared for a small QSR user with the intent from the get-go.
it's not a very large lot.
Mm-hmm. No, somewhere, I mean, the initial potential buyer was Wendy's. So it was small, small footprint and in and out traffic, provide another option for everybody in this area as far as dining. But something along those lines is what I would
As long as it's not
see.
Chick-fil-A.
That's a whole nother ballgame there.
Not that everybody wants Chick-fil-A in Newcastle. That won't support the traffic.
That won't, that lot's not.
That's
big
why I
enough. It's
Well,
not
we've
big.
got to have a spot.
Everybody wants a Chick-fil-A.
I was gonna say, that's pretty
It's
obvious.
gotta be on the right lot and the right flow, period. And that lot wouldn't do it.
I know, it's crazy.
It would have to at least get an acre and a half.
Yes.
Chick-fil-A.
With the potential overflow.
Correct.
Mini Chick-fil-A. There you go.
It's been a trailer in Tri-City for 3 years.
We don't want a mini, we want a Chick-fil-A.
Someday.
Someday soon.
Back to the cross-access.
Mm-hmm.
It's costing a couple parking spots. Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm not sure to the full extent of what it would cost. I don't think it would necessarily cost parking spaces. I think it would cost expensive retaining walls and a very harsh slope greater than 61 to transition that paving from lot 2 to lot 3. And 61 is not the end of the world from a parking standpoint, but from through traffic, I can see some sightline issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what's the elevation change between those two?
That's because you're keeping it pretty flat. Is that right?
Well, yeah, they're wanting to maintain as flat as possible, so 5 feet. Okay.
And what distance? 5 feet elevation drop and what?
5 feet and about 6, 7 feet, roughly, give or take. And we'd have to get into the file and just tell you exactly.
Well,
what it
just
is,
get
but
an
that's
idea.
Just eyeballing it.
The 1 and 2 are fairly flat to each other, and then
Yes.
5 feet and 3 and 4 are fairly flat to each other.
Enough to move on.
And the whole east side is retaining wall?
No, 270 feet, 260, 270 feet. And it's right.
On 3 and 4 only then?
This is actually that retaining wall and that thing here. So where that grade transition happens, it was also that steep grade transition there too. I mean, we're not talking very high. We're talking, 2-3 feet.
Yeah.
And we did that in an effort to actually pull down the north end of the east access road, kind of help everything kind of plan out appropriately on that cross access.
So as we're redoing this, we're looking at the east road. At first, it was simply going to be a delivery road, or its primary use was. But under this flow, we would anticipate it also being an exit flow for traffic coming out of these onto 19th Place.
Could be in and out.
Yeah.
Where before was, it was gonna be in and out anyway.
Well, yeah,
It was gonna be in and out anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's certainly going, I mean, you've got a drive going back there.
I'm just asking a question, just because I want to know, but if you do the elevation 5 foot cut like that, you still can't do a long grade drive through there?
The longer
I get the slope, but
the longer the drive that we make, the more the retaining walls end up cutting back into the higher elevation lot, which then would impact drive aisle and also drive. That would help alleviate sightline issues, but cause and effect of it.
I'll throw out an idea here. I mean, I see their need to break those. I'm also concerned about, same thing I was concerned about earlier, is the traffic turning south, whether it be on the drive going into 1 and 2 or on 19th Place, because 19th Place doesn't have a turn lane. And if this stays narrow with no turn lane, you're going to funnel more traffic on 19th so they can make your turns more, seeking a shorter waiting line.
Yep.
So
I think
I'll support the no cross access there, but I'd sure like to see that north drive have a turn lane, left turn lane.
Just a thought. Well, if we made that right out on,
It doesn't work very good. We did that at the Sonic up here. And
people are going to do what they're going to do. Granted,
you're right. And so, I mean, we better plan for it rather than wish. Because we wished up here, and that's at an intersection. Anybody ought to be able to know not to do it, but I see people do it.
I don't agree with that.
And I'm throwing this out for comment. I'll support it that way, but I'm going to recommend that this be widened up.
yeah.
And that way, it'll actually keep people from trying to turn out on the 19th Place and let the residents get out there, because they'll have an outlet here.
it will assist in needing to go to that lane and get back around, because some people may think, well, it's a bit wider over there, 3 lane, I can go there and not be out of the way. Or,
Yeah.
It's gonna be congested, but I think it'll help.
If you got three turns, if you got a left-hand turn lane, you can sit there and not be in the way. Somebody turn
Right, and there's a lot of us that still feel we don't want to be in the way, and we
Right.
do that.
And that's what I do.
Yeah. I'll, okay, I guess what we want is, you have anything you want to tell us anymore?
No, sir, we've covered it pretty well.
Is there any public comment on this? Seeing none, I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to recommend approval of the elimination of cross traffic on, between lots 2 and 3, or on all of the lots. The design of the east roadway without a fire turnaround, on the basis that there will be provided a heavy traffic fire lane going across lot 4 with a sufficient radius at the east, or at the west end of the parking to allow exit on the 62 through the entrance there. And that the north entrance be widened to provide a left turn.
Just so you know.
On the southern, back here.
Yeah.
Okay, and the cross access be being maintained on the service road on the east boundary. Anything else? Nope. I think that's my motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, signify by raising hand. Be unanimously approved. Item number 9 is a public hearing to consider an application for amendment to the 2040 future land use map from suburban residential to general commercial for Catholic Holding Company LLC, located in section 20, township 9 north, range 4 west, McLean County, Oklahoma. The address is 3151 State Highway 76.
Good evening, Robin Gray, City Planner. Planning staff recently discovered that the correct future land use designation was not applied to the property at 3151 Southwest 16th Street when the 2040 future land use map was adopted by City Council in January of 2024. This was discovered when the property owner inquired into the property's current zoning. That zoning is PUD, Planned Unit Development, with a base zoning of CN1 Neighborhood Shopping District. This district and its allowed commercial uses do not align with the property's future land use designation of suburban residential. To correct this discrepancy, City staff requests a future land use amendment to the property from suburban residential to general commercial. The proposed future land use designation allows for commercial zoning and uses. This future land use amendment will make the Newcastle 2040 comprehensive plan of future land use map more cohesive by aligning the property's future land use designation with its current zoning and allowed uses. City staff supports and recommends.
Just hold your microphone closer. They're not turned on. Oh, they're not? We don't turn them. We never turn them on. Okay. I'm just.
Sorry, I'll speak up on the next one. Apologies.
Okay, question on, now we're going to put it in the land use as commercial,
As general commercial.
general commercial, and it's under the PUD, the PUD's based on suburban commercial or neighborhood
Yeah, the
commercial?
base zoning for the planned unit development is CN1 Neighborhood Shopping District. So yeah, primarily commercial.
Right, but that's a lighter use than our commercial, isn't it?
Then are you referring to the commercial zoning?
Well, we're saying that it fits into commercial zoning, and our neighborhood commercial is a lesser use than that, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, CN1 neighborhood shopping district is I believe the least intensive commercial district that we have.
Right.
However, the current future land use designation suburban residential for this property does not allow for commercial uses at all.
Right.
And so,
Well, what I'm trying to ask, the neighborhood commercial is a lighter use than commercial, so do we want to make this commercial and let him heavy that up? Because when we did the PUD,
Right.
we kind of pushed to keep it light there rather than full commercial.
correct.
If we say that the future use of this is commercial, that would support coming in under the PUD and amending it to put a garage there or something. A heavier commercial use, is that correct?
Well, the future land use designation of general commercial would support, yes, heavier commercial zoning districts, in theory.
We don't want to do that.
Okay, so the PUD isn't changing. So this is a correction to the land use map. When we adopted it, you can see the suburban residential does not align with the commercial PUD zoning.
Right.
So when Mr. Kathy called and said, hey, I'm thinking about this PUD and I want to develop this under that PUD, and he asked me, well, can I change it? And he was looking at the site plan. To be a heavier use in under the N2, it would have to go back through the public hearing process. We're not doing anything with the PUD. The only thing that we're doing is making the land use align with the current zoning, which suburban residential doesn't support a commercial PUD. So this was a cleanup to the existing future land use map. We're not changing the PUD. The CN1, so we have under the policy, the land use map, we don't have anything except mixed use residential, commercial, and general commercial. General commercial captures all of it. But if you go to our comprehensive plan, you will see under suburban residential land use, there is no commercial allowed in that. So the zoning wasn't matching with what the current zoning is. The land use didn't match it.
But if we use our land use map to say this could be heavy commercial.
No, it wouldn't be heavy commercial. It's just general commercial. It doesn't depict between less intensive commercial or more intensive commercial. It's just either a designation of mixed-use residential and commercial or just general commercial, which general commercial land use captures CN1, CN2, office.
To do some sort of commercial there, or was
The PUD was adopted like in 16 or 17.
I know this is platted. It's platted for a gas station, and then this is nothing right now.
They did not plat either one of those.
So they came in for approval for a gas station and 400 storage units.
They came in for a PUD, and they didn't plat, and they didn't break it up into lots. There's no plat.
Okay, no,
Yeah,
platted, okay.
yeah, there's no plat. They came in to rezone it to PUD. So both of these, which that'll be the next one that you see, and we're having this discussion, but that's what happened is they came in for a PUD. They should have platted the north one and probably should have platted the south one and breaking that into lots because of the way their site development plan is. But what's in that PUD is not changing. If they wanted to do a gas station and it was the light commercial that PUD is right now, they would have to come in and go through the public hearing process, notification, and do an amendment to that PUD.
But now, if we change, if we say general commercial, and they come in our comprehensive plan will then say, yeah, we foresee you doing heavy commercial there, although we don't really want it. We wanted your CN1. And I'm just wondering if that puts more pressure on city staff to say, yeah, you can put a truck stop in there.
Not necessarily. I think that at that intersection, of course, you're at a hard intersection there at the corner of 16th and 76. And so, obviously, at that location, I, wouldn't, if he came in and said, hey, I want to change this PUD, and I see what you're saying. You're saying if you put a commercial designation, is that going to reflect that we want more intensive uses there? Not necessarily.
That default allows it.
No, it does not default. It does not.
We don't want to
default.
lessen the restriction.
No, it does not change it.
It wouldn't change the PUD at all.
Right.
And if our choice is commercial or suburban residential, we've got to go commercial because it was commercial before.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's what.
And my concern and my questions here are really just informational and what's the extent of our comprehensive plan or land use map? Should we be trying to say land use, this is neighborhood commercial rather than just commercial? Because that's what the use is designated. And I don't know that we have that in our comp.
We don't. Like I said, we only have two designations. It's either mixed use residential commercial, allowing commercial and residential in an area. So you have, a commercial development and you want to have townhouses or you want to have single family behind that, it allows for that. Or just a general commercial, which general commercial captures all of
anything,
all the office uses, just anything besides that's not industrial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if he decides to develop it now and wants to go heavier, we'll have to argue with him again. Just like we
What he would
anyway.
why we did this, if he came in and said, I want to redo my PDD, I would say, oh, they accidentally put suburban residential on your property, and I would say you're going to have to do a land use amendment. Either way, you would have to do a land use amendment. Because this was an oversight by consultants and staff, and the use that is there, the zoning that was there at the time of the adoption, should have matched the land use designation. That's all this is. It won't change the zoning, it won't allow for more intensive uses, and at that location and with that small of a site, it would be really difficult for them to come in and change it, especially abutting the Coachella subdivision to the north. And now, again, we look at a lot of different factors when people come in for rezoning. The location, is it on a highway, on a major arterial? What are the surrounding land uses? Is this site, does it have the capability to support? And we're not going to want a truck stop there. I'm just going to say that.
Right. But on the south side,
Those neighborhood,
we may hear that.
neighborhood services.
Yeah, that was the idea when we talked to Chris.
And that's what the PUD.
And hopefully
PUD is not changing.
because he's got a layout for it if he wants to develop it that way, offices and small shops. Hopefully this is good. This is cleanup, and we got to do something. And I think general commercial is probably what we did. So I'll quit trying to figure out how this is going to impact us down the road. That was my concern.
I hear you.
Is there any public comment on this matter? Seeing none, I'll make a motion that we recommend amendment of the land use map indicates that this tract of land is general commercial. Is that right, Grace?
Yeah.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by upraised hand. Be unanimously approved. Item number 10 is a public hearing to consider an application for amendment to the 2040 future land use map from suburban residential to general commercial for Mason Storage LLC, located in section 29, township 9 north, range 4 west, in McLean County, Oklahoma. The address is 3120 State Highway 76.
Good evening, Logan Gray, City Planner. So this case is pretty similar to the previous item. When Mr. Cathy inquired about the zoning for his property to the north of this one, city staff started looking around and found that this property as well, its current land use designation did not match the current zoning and allowed uses. So this zoning is, again, PUD, planned unit development with a base zoning of CN1, neighborhood shopping district. Its current land use designation, suburban residential, does not allow for the current use of a mini warehouse storage facility, nor any of the uses allowed under its zoning district. To correct this discrepancy, staff requests a future land use amendment to the property from suburban residential to general commercial.
Is this CN1 in the PUD? I thought they did heavier commercial because of the storage, and then they were going
The
to.
gas station had to be tied in.
Yeah, I mean, I think the PUD zoning was heavier than the CN1, but either way, your request to do the land use is correct, to go to general.
And that's only doing 10 acres, right? It's not marked on here how many acres.
It's approximately 10 acres.
You requested 20, and only 10 was approved, so I was just making sure.
So assuming that's the corner then, the 10 acres?
Yeah, it is. Okay.
Yeah, it was approved that billboard, but not the runoff pond.
So the runoff pond is still ag? I thought I recall that too, so. Okay. I'll make a motion that we recommend amendment of the land use map to designate the subject property as general commercial. I'll second. Got a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by raising hand. Unanimously approved. Thank you, Logan.
Thank you.
Item 11 is, I guess we did one, didn't we? Let's go to 12. Item 12, discussion and possible action on amendment to chapter 150.11, C5, International Residential Code adopted regarding planting of trees within uses.
Good evening, Logan Gray, City Planner. This proposed ordinance amendment is intended to promote and create the urban tree canopy and planting of trees within Newcastle by requiring the planting of trees as a condition to receive a building permit in certain residential zoning districts. There are currently no provisions in the Newcastle Code of ordinances that explicitly require the planting of trees as a condition to receive a building permit for single-family residential. There's a variety of benefits that trees offer, including greater aesthetic appeal, increased property values, stormwater and erosion control, soil health, air and noise pollution reduction, as well as reducing the heat island effect. This ordinance would require a minimum of 1 tree per lot as a condition to issue building permit in all residentially zoned E1, E2, E3, RF1 and RF2 districts with a minimum of 2 trees on all corner lots. These trees would need to be planted prior to building inspections, and a certificate of occupancy would not be issued if the minimum tree requirement was not met. So existing trees may be used to satisfy this requirement. Trees should be a minimum of 2-inch caliper in size and be selected from the Oklahoma State University's Proven Trees list, which can be found online. No trees, no new trees should be planted within any public right-of-way or within 5 feet of any public easement. These trees will need to be noted on the site plan submitted as part of the building permit application process. And if weather or other conditions make the planting of trees unviable, proof of trees purchased as well as a planned planting date may be provided to receive a temporary certificate of occupancy. City staff supports and recommends approval of this ordinance amendment.
Got some questions for you.
Sure.
On lots that are smaller lots, or E1 lots, and particularly just where I know of this being an occurrence, and I think there's a couple other subdivisions that did it this way that we didn't catch, but in Pachella, the sections 1, for sure, and maybe 1 and 2, the the utility easement goes to building line, front and back, or front and side. So there's nowhere to plant it to. So it won't fit there. And then on the smaller lots, I'm concerned in that, what about a homeowner who wants solar panels? And you're gonna get a problem with canopy on front yard trees with the smaller lots. Because you've got, the 25-foot setback in R1, yeah.
On the one, yeah, 25 feet.
So you've got 25 setbacks, you've got a utility easement that is 5 or 10 of that. I suppose 25, but is it 10?
Or utility?
Right.
At least 10.
In the front?
In the front?
Mhm.
The 10, so you're,
Within that 25-foot setback.
Yeah.
so you're down to 15 feet. And most of the trees are gonna have a canopy bigger than that.
Well, if you're 7,200 square foot lot, like a lot of the new neighborhoods, I mean, it's possible to put a tree in there, but it's gonna get tight. If you're elderly and you can't keep up trimming it, well, I guess an HOA could specify this. I don't know why the city wants to specify everybody in town put a tree in their yard.
Well, Janine and I talked about this, and I don't really have a problem with trees, but I think we've got to have something that gives some outs of some of this. And when we talked about it, I didn't think about it, but I would have thrown it out and made you think about it more now. But as I read through, those are items that came up in the Pachella deal. I just had to know about it.
This language doesn't exist at all currently?
That's correct.
We're not modifying anything, we're adding.
Well, we've got landscaping requirements.
Landscaping, and I'm okay
shrubs
with
take
that.
care of that.
Right.
But that's not in RF1, that's not in our residential district.
It's in commercial
It's
stuff,
in
they have so
commercial
much
only.
landscaping. And I guess I'd be okay with maybe saying that. I just don't know why the city needs to specify every house that's being built gets a tree. I have a friend that moved from Oklahoma City to Newcastle, but before he moved, his tree died in his yard, and within a week and a half, his HOA had put a letter in his mailbox, your tree's dead, fix it. Okay, I got 3 babies and 2 twins, and a tree's the last thing on my mind. Who dictates this and who enforces it? I just don't. I don't know.
Just for new construction, though.
That is correct.
I get that. But still, you're gonna go, this goes into place, and then everybody over here across from Farmington gets a new tree in their yard, and those lots are 7,200, and they're 5 feet apart from each other because the lot lines are, I don't know. I just don't know why we need to specify this as a city.
Well, I will tell you a couple things on why what would be a benefit of it. I mean, and Logan mentioned a few of them. And it's something where we don't have right now, so you're creating a lot of neighborhoods that don't have any trees. So you go into a neighborhood and, I mean, that's what Newcastle Farms is going to look like. That's what, at Fox Hollow, a lot of builders will go ahead and put their one tree in the front yard, but we didn't have anything to make them do that.
Right. That's the HOA specifying that.
Unless the HOA does, and we can't make them do
Right.
that
Yeah.
unless we have an ordinance for it. I will say that there could be potential, we're not making people keep the tree. It's a requirement of the builder. So if I'm a homeowner and I come in and I go, I want that tree, I can cut it down. I don't have to have it. It just is a way for our newer neighborhoods to gain a tree canopy.
Can we specify that here? Because I don't think that says here. It doesn't say the owner.
I don't want, this is just for new builds. This is only for new building permits that come in. So I didn't want to put a provision in, there's nothing in there that says you have to keep your tree alive. There's nothing in there that says you can't cut it down. There's nothing in there that says I can't plant 4 more trees if I want to. It just is a provision to make builders put at least 1 2-inch caliber Oklahoma proven tree in. And that is so we can gain a little bit of tree canopy on our streets, a little bit of passive solar for residents. So you might want solar, but I bet you there's a lot of people that would like to have a tree on the west side of their house in the scorching summer that's going to provide shade and reduce their energy bills. That would be,
Well, yeah, and
So,
I understand that.
there's
We planted,
definite
that's the
positives
tornado we planted
to that. And
big
so
trees.
it's trying to create a aesthetic of a canopied tree-lined street.
Well, some developers come in and leave the
And the
50-year-old trees,
we
cut a
do-
road,
Yeah,
and use that.
yeah,
You
and
know.
that's okay too.
You're right.
I mean, if you've ever been to Selah, you can see
Exactly.
that was done. We don't have that up here on.
Most people don't do it. It's not that it can't be.
Yeah, there are some developers where you'll find that they'll
Yeah.
leave the prize trees and the larger caliber trees, but that's why we didn't want to put anything in here that's gonna say, you must keep it alive.
That's what I'm getting.
But see, that doesn't say this, it just
Okay.
is so they can plant it. And if somebody moves in and they go, they don't like it, they can cut it down. Now, as you know, the city doesn't have any jurisdiction, doesn't reside over any covenants. So we can't enforce them, we can't make them to our liking.
That's where I was headed with this.
Yeah,
The-
so if
we're gonna
it's
state
in
this.
somebody's covenant, then that's different.
Right.
And I think that, like, I don't know, I'm not sure where your friend lives, maybe, I don't know if it's.
Well, he's in
Fox
Rivers,
Hollow.
River's Edge now, Riverview on 37, but he came from 134th and Country Place or something.
Yeah.
They have a requirement with HOA to have
Yeah.
1 tree in your yard.
Yeah.
And
So-
I just think that's weird, but, you know,
Well, it's the added benefits that we're looking at, you know, and not trying to, it's a very simple thing that doesn't cost a lot of money. It really provides an aesthetic. It can provide, like I said, passive solar, the heat island effect. When you get into neighborhoods that have no trees, you can look at the differences. They've done major studies with,
reflectivity of cement and all that.
correct. And so
I just didn't want, what I was going with, I didn't want to give this as land as a requirement on the homeowner to have to do this or
only thing
maintain
that
it.
we're doing is making the builder put in a tree.
Okay.
That's it, in those zoning designations. And before that occupancy permit is issued, they need to have that tree planted. And if the weather doesn't, it's not tree planting season, or if you're trying to get a CO in the middle of winter and you've got ice and stuff,
Right.
we just have a date to reflect that tree will be planted.
Okay.
We tried to make it as simple as possible. There's a lot of cities that really get into a lot of it. Keeping them out of easements, that's the main thing. You can't be in the public right of way.
Yeah.
So tried to make it simple, easy to accommodate, and not make it forceful for anybody that did not want the tree if they moved in. But it does provide that opportunity then for these new homes that don't have any trees.
Well, if they like it, then they don't have to plant it themselves.
Exactly.
I mean, okay. Good explanation. Okay, I'm good.
Is there any way to modify the Oklahoma State's proven tree list to include fruit trees?
Yeah. I think that we can do that. And I think there are some, if you click on that link, that I'm not sure. I think the other thing is tree species not found may be proposed for administrative review. So we have that line in there. So we can, if somebody wants an apple tree or a pear tree or something like that, you know, they're trees that really like silver maples. We don't want builders to go out and plant silver maples. So that's why we put that there. They're fast growing in Oklahoma and they easily break. Like same thing with grass or pears. The way that their canopy grows, they break out in storms and ice storms really easy.
But they're nice trees.
They are nice. They are nice. They grow fast. You're like, why not?
They're just a 10-year tree, and when you cut them down, when we get.
They get really big really fast, and so it makes they're weak-wooded. They're not really strong. Like a Shumard oak or a white oak or something like that, they're more prone, less breakage, and they take longer to grow. But you want a tree to have that. We don't want the fast growing because it just makes the leaf good.
Nice.
They do look nice, and I have one in my front yard that's been there for a long time. I did not plant it, but it's a great tree. It's not broken out, which is surprising how much ice. And it actually faces. It's a north-south tree, and so it doesn't. I'm surprised at how well it's. It has broken some. Believe me, I've taken a lot of chunks out of it. A lot.
Whoever owns the JRs has figured out the Bradford pears stuff. Every 5 or 6 years, you just line them off.
Yeah.
About
You can.
6, 8 feet.
Make them into lollipops.
Yeah.
Not
recommended pruning practices, but.
They're ugly for about 9 months.
Yeah.
Good for another 4 years.
Okay. The one thing that's going to be a problem is we need to catch on our flats. I mean, I guess if they know they've got to have a place to plant a tree, maybe they won't run the utility easement up against the house.
Also, it'll have to be on the building permit. It won't be really with class. It's going to be on each building permit. So they're going to show a tree on their site plan in the front yard. And then that'll become part of the checklist for the reviewers. Oh, they're showing a 2-inch caliper Shumard oak. Check. And then when the inspectors go out and they're doing their final inspections, they'll be like, oh, your tree isn't there. You've got to get your tree planted.
And they'll plant a tree where the lawn that doesn't want it.
Or maybe they'll plant it and that homeowner will go, oh, I have a brand new tree in my yard. I love it.
Okay. Any further comment on the circle? Any public comment? Seeing none, we'll proceed.
Nobody here.
That's why I didn't say anything.
Nobody here.
All right. Who wants to make it?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to recommend approval with item 12. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Be unanimously approved. Item 13, discussion possible action on amendment to Newcastle Code of Ordinances, Chapter 153, subdivisions, Section 153.054, easements, drainage, adding a new subsection, 153.054F, establishing modifications to open drainage channels.
How appropriate.
Yeah. Today with the planning department. So, as you all probably know, there are a lot of subdivisions and we have a lot of, with bar ditches, or not even in subdivisions, single-family homes that are on estate side lots and they have bar ditches and tin horns to take care of the stormwater drainage. We get, I don't know, several calls a week, either from a neighbor or from the homeowner themselves asking to modify or to change the bar ditch, to fill it in, to remove their tin horn. And that happens, and the neighbor calls in, oh, my neighbor just filled in his bar ditch, and now all the water is coming over to my house. What this ordinance does is puts teeth into that open channel requirement. It currently states in the subdivision regulations that the bar ditches are the maintenance requirement of the property owner. But this just really puts it in there so they can't go fill it in, they can't block the tin horn, they can't adjust the slope of the bar ditch without coming to the city and having approval. And as you can see, if you read it to the property owners that have that open drainage on any lot or in a plat, have to maintain it. They can't alter, redesign, fill, or enclose any portion of the drainage channel without obtaining prior written approval from the city. If they want to modify it, they must come to the city to modify that. There might be a study, a hydraulic or hydraulic analysis required saying, hey, this is the drainage, this is my elevation, I don't need the 4-to-1 slope, I don't need an 18-inch tin horn, I need a 10-inch tin horn. May I use this? And so there will be a review period for that. Our current ordinance states an 18-inch tin horn, and that doesn't really allow for anything other than that. So this allows a little bit of, like I said, put some teeth into the ordinance. If they do alter it, the number 3 down here, enforcement and penalties, any property owner who modifies an open channel without a prior approval as required, so could be subject to penalties provided in the city code. And they have to restore it to its original condition. We've had several of these happen in the last, like I said, at least weekly we get one, and this will really help out the enforcement of keeping
Going down my road,
yeah.
you build it in and they can turf it and now it's all in the road.
So, and we address those, and then we have to go out and monitor them, and we're like, you need to restore your channel.
Yeah.
And then they say they're going to do it, and then we're like getting another call. But this allows us to say, whoa, you modified your channel, you filled it in, you blocked off your tin horn, either restore it and fix it, or you're going to have the 1099, which is up to $200 a day penalty, and we can enforce it that way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Question. What's this do about a person who's either on county road or on a platted subdivision with bar ditches, who comes in to put in his driveway and wants to put in a culvert? We got the 18-inch culvert because we said that'll be big enough.
Right.
And it doesn't require an engineer. This requires them to come in and bring a professional engineer study in, which costs a bunch of money for not much information or talent.
Or they put the culvert in. Usually what it is people wanting to get away from it because they don't want to mow.
Well,
It's not because
I understand,
yeah.
but what I'm saying is this is going to put the person who wants to put a culvert in having to go get a professional engineer. Then right now we send John out and John says,
oh no,
18-inch or whatever.
no, you can put the 18-inch in. You don't have to get that much. You want to go below that requirement. If you want to,
Say that.
well,
You can fix
it says that if you want to modify the drainage channel, you submit an application, and the application includes the detailed site plan, the proposed modification.
And the
But-
hydraulic Well,
Of the study, yeah.
which, if I'm putting a culvert in, whether I'm putting 18 or saying I'm not gonna put any in, requires me to go get the engineer. And I'm just saying we need to have it so that if I wanna use a standard practice of an 18-inch culvert, I shouldn't have to go get an engineer.
Can I give you an example I dealt with this week in Oakmont? I have a home builder, and that they are at the end of a cul-de-sac. That was phase 1 of Oakmont that was accepted back in 21. So we're dealing with 3 years of an open lot, no culvert, there's no building permit in. That lot's sitting there. Every other house on that block, the whole block, is all built out.
I don't think I know.
They all have 18-inch culverts. They all have their bar ditches. This builder says, I don't need it here. There's no culvert there. And I said, I called the engineer for Oakmont. I said, hey, can you confirm that this did have that bar ditch when it was the development, when the roads were put in, when all the infrastructure? Yeah, I sent that. He said, oh yeah, he needs that 18-inch. So now I've got a builder arguing with me instead of just putting in the 18-inch culvert that's required, and me spending numerous hours on it. And the only way I could go, I don't have anything else. Well, it doesn't need that big. Well, then you're the builder, and if you want to modify it,
Well,
then you need to
got a
go.
plan that said what it needed.
Right, and you don't want to do it.
Well, then fine,
And then what?
you can't get a building permit.
Well, he's got a building.
He's already building. He can't move forward his approach.
He wants
for
to,
his approach.
right, he cannot do it until he puts that in. So he'll go back and forth with me and continue to try to go back and forth.
He's wasting her time.
Yes,
Arguing, trying to
wasting
wear
my
it down.
time.
She has nothing to hold him.
All I can say is you have to do, yes, you can, I told him, if you want to do modify from the 18
You've got to
inch,
come back here.
no, you have to go, this is not to do with planning commission and city council. That plat's already been accepted, but we're at building permit stage now.
Yeah, plat's accepted. It says he says 18-inch
Right,
culvert.
right.
If he wants to modify that, he's got to change the plat, not just,
He has to show through an engineer that lot would not
you can't
require.
modify the plat without coming to the planning commission. So
So
you don't need to be talking to him.
I don't think that that's true, because I think on the plat, those culvert schedules, 18 inches, once that's done, and they want to change that, you're saying, and I'm listening to you, you're saying that every time somebody wants a modification, they should come back to planning commission to modify the culvert table on the plat. There's nothing on the plat that shows except the paving and drainage plans. That's the final plat, has the paving and drainage plans on there, that if they want to modify that culvert, that they should come back to planning commission.
Theoretically.
So this is to prevent that. This is to make staff's job more streamlined, give us some teeth behind what's already there, which requires them not to fill it in and to maintain it. Behind this house, I've spent months with one homeowner that's trying to say the city didn't inspect the culvert the right way. City inspected the culvert, it's there, it's functioning, but you know what? They've mowed, they've put dirt in, it's silted in. It's silted in. Well, it's the builder's fault. The culvert's the right way, well, it's holding water, it shouldn't hold water.
Get out there and clean it up.
Okay, so is what I'm saying is this puts some teeth behind what is already in place.
Well, where's the provision that the guy that lives on the county road is gonna put in a culvert who comes in and say, I'm ready to put in my driveway, and I don't want to get a professional engineer to sign off on a culvert when I'm perfectly happy to use an 18-inch or whatever John says.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
That's
I
the
did.
standard minimum is 18 inches.
That's what I did. The city just helped me
Yeah.
size it. And
Yeah, and we called
Yeah.
John, and in
that's
fact,
what
I
I'm
will
saying.
tell you.
But this says, I've got to bring you a hydrological.
So do you know who came up with this ordinance? Mr. Canary.
Okay. Well-
Mr. Canary sent this to Kevin and I and said, can we do this ordinance? He was, gonna come, and he said, I know you can do this.
Well,
And
all
so-
I'm saying
So
is,
he's the
this-
one that
all I'm
has
saying is this
instituted
says-
this ordinance.
if I come in and I want to do this, put a culvert in, or modify a ditch, I've got to have an professional
If you
engineer.
don't wanna put the 18 inch in.
It doesn't say that.
So,
Just put that in there.
okay, then we'll put that in
I
there.
gotta say, I
You
agree
want-
with him 100%. If you put that in there, I'm good
Okay,
with it.
well then let's modify it to have the open drainage channel has an 18 inch under number 1A. Minimum. Okay, so include
'cause it could be a
minimum
2 foot.
18 inch
And based on
culvert.
the ditch size and the
Okay, I get you.
So let's see what you're saying, Gordon.
I see what you're saying now.
The guy comes in wanting to upgrade his driveway, and he's gotta spend $5,000, he's just gonna have to get it with it.
But it's already there.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
isn't
Yeah.
it's
He's
not
just crossing it.
restated it.
Yeah.
He's just crossing the ditch to accommodate the
Right.
size of culvert that fits the ditch, so you can get from the road to your property without needing this.
I agree.
Yeah, I just didn't want to
You
get
get
a
18
where
inch minimum.
You do 18 inch minimum, and that's already in there. It's
in another
it's not-
place, but this wouldn't let
Okay,
it
well
work.
then let's put minimum 18 inch culvert required in under,
Okay, and deviation from that requires,
yes,
you can work on the language, I'm not worried about that.
okay.
It's just, I think
John
somebody
is
that's
still
really
like
wanting
a-
to get along, having to get a professional engineer's
Yes,
signature.
unless they wanna go anything less than 18.
Yeah, anybody that wants to,
Anything. Yeah, if they wanna put a bigger culvert in, then it's a minimum requirement. So it'd just be anything less than 18 that they would have to come forward.
and,
And I'll revise that, and it'll be revised before we go to city council.
and as far as I'm concerned, if we platted it, and the engineering drawings have been approved and accepted by the city, you wanna modify that, you gotta come back through the process.
That's what and I hear exactly what you're saying, and that's why I called Dean with
Yeah.
DEC, and I said, Dean,
Well, you've got the answers.
Yes.
You're just being too nice in that particular case. Now, I like being nice a lot, but, that was the only thing I had on. Oh, the other thing I was going to say, the language of, this may include restoration of the drainage channel into its original condition, fines, or any additional remedial actions deemed necessary. If we're gonna have fines, we've gotta say how much.
it's to,
I think we did anyway.
okay, so include the 1099.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
okay, the penalties, and then add,
1099.
oh, it's a section, no, it's a section of the code that allows a penalty.
Was it
It's,
$10.99 or $11 fine? I don't know.
sorry, I'll add the 18 inch minimum in, along with adding in
and we
this
can't
section.
get to 1,099 in Newcastle yet.
Okay. We need to motion this one, right?
Yeah. I'll make a motion that we recommend approval of ordinance number, we don't know the ordinance number.
Definitely, yeah.
Item number 13, subject to the amended language regarding the existing minimum culvert size and define and what else
The penalty.
penalty one. Is that it? The two?
18 inch, yes, those
Okay,
two.
those two items. Second. I've got a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by that raised hand. Be unanimously approved. Item number 14, discussion and possible action on election of chairman and vice chairman.
We already did that. I know that was
Board of
Board of
Adjustment.
Justice.
Hey, I understand.
I'm getting mixed
I
up.
mixed it. I know. They're all running together for me.
Since Carl's not here, do you know who wants to?
Carl, wait on that?
Yeah.
Either way, I think Carl will serve if we want to nominate him. I would throw out my name. I would like to continue as chairman.
I don't have a problem with either one, just
I don't either.
since he's here, not here.
Let's do it then.
Okay,
Let's do it to him.
let's do it. I'm okay with that, as long as he's, we can come back and go, hey,
Provided, well, he can resign and we'll redo it, but I think he'll do it.
okay.
Somebody else can
And
have.
I'll make a motion that stays just as it is. Chairman, President.
I'll second.
Vice Chairman.
Motion chairman, re-elect Gordon Harness, chairman, and Carl Evans as vice chairman. All in favor, signify by raising his hand. Be unanimously approved. Discussion, possible action on setting next special meeting. We've got one Thursday. If we needed another one, we can set it then.
We did say 6, right, on both of those?
Right. Any new business? Any old business? Would we like to? I've got a second. All in favor? We are adjourned. And sometimes they're more efficient, and sometimes they're not more efficient. You can have that if you want. I stole that.
I got my own. Okay, maybe I'll just leave it here.